Scratch was Caine's first mistake, not just the first person to abstract. The first problem Caine had no plan for. Scratch was one of the humans who built Caine in the first place, a C&A developer. He helped design the circus from the inside and still couldn't get out. In the German dub, he asked Caine if there's a way to leave. The first question, never answered honestly. Kinger confirms in Beach episode that Scratch had a brain tumor when his mind was scanned. Fans point out the cellar theory. Caine built it in a panic for Scratch, no protocol, no plan. First abstraction, no response. Improvised containment. The theory says everything broken about how the circus handles abstraction was baked in that day. Queenie is why Kinger never came back. Not because he couldn't find the exit, because the plan was for him to stay. Queenie and Kinger were the last of the original group standing. They had years. They watched. Fans point out Queenie seemed almost peaceful when she abstracted inside Kinger's pillow fort. Less like someone losing their mind. More like someone who'd already decided. The theory says they made a plan. Queenie goes first. Kinger stays behind. He builds the fort, keeps the light out, tells Pomni he could feel her one last time in the darkness. Supporters say that's not grief. That's someone who knows where they left something and is still waiting. Jax created the monster Ribbit became. Episode 9 gives the theory its strongest clue. Her abstraction wasn't bad luck. It was an ending. Jax built conversation by conversation. Jax and Ribbit were close. When Kaufmo interrupted a moment in her room, Jax panicked, threw her bow tie away, told her he'd never speak to her again if she talked. Then he started poisoning her, standing with everyone else. Kaufmo told, don't trust her. Ribbit got more isolated. When Ragatha checked on her, Jax didn't knock. Ribbit abstracted. Fans point out when Kaufmo tried to comfort Jax afterward, Jakes ran the same pattern on him. Kaufmo abstracted too. The theory says Jax watched himself lose the same person twice and still couldn't stop it. Kaufmo was right about the exit. He told Jax he thought he'd found a way out. Jax called him crazy. Shortly after, Kaufmo abstracted. Fans on TV Tropes flagged a theory that abstraction doesn't destroy the person, it ejects them. The idea is that when someone's mind fully detaches from the circus, the avatar glitches into something feral. The real person slips through. Kaufmo was the character who fixated entirely on finding an exit, to the point Kinger mentions it before the pilot even starts. Supporters say that's not a tragedy, that's a success the show frames as failure. The monster in the cellar isn't Kaufmo, it's the suit he left behind on the way out. According to this theory, the cellar isn't full of broken people. It's full of empty costumes. Wormo proves the circus was broken before Pomni arrived. The abstraction crisis didn't start when she showed up, it was already running. Wormo was one of the original C&A developers who entered with Kinger, Queenie, and Scratch. They appear on a not abstracted list in Beach episode, which means they joined and then abstracted later. By the time Pomni arrives, Wormo is already in the cellar with no story the show ever tells. Fans point out this means abstraction was happening quietly across every generation with no acceleration and no cause. Supporters say the circus was already consuming everyone inside it long before the pilot opened. Pomni didn't change the pattern, she just arrived in time to watch the last chapter. The 4 nameless monsters are the victims nobody talks about. Pink Cyclops, frowning yellow rabbit clown, black oyster, light green creature with an orange bow. No names, no episodes, nothing. Every known abstracted character gets at least a name in a fragment of backstory. These 4 get none of it. Fans point out the crossed out doors in the cellar suggest at least 13 abstracted residents total. The cellar holds people the show never acknowledges. The theory says these 4 arrived between documented generations and vanished without record. Supporters note 21 brain scans were made, but only 18 became avatars. 3 never made it in at all. The 4 nameless ones made it in, made it through the circus, made it to the cellar. The show just decided they weren't worth a name. Jax was not the villain of his own abstraction. The cruelty the show ran for 9 episodes was never who he was, it was what he became. Episode 9 shows Jax arriving, panicking, calming down, and building real friendships with Ribbit and Kaufmo. After Ribbit abstracted, he renamed Gangle something insulting on day 1 and spent years keeping everyone at arm's length. Fans point out every mean thing Jax does in the show traces back to the same pattern that lost him Ribbit. Supporters say the person who accepted abstraction as something he deserved wasn't a villain. He was someone carrying a loss the show only names in the final episode. The cellar was only the first prison. By remember, there's also the aquarium. Caine keeps finding better ways to store the problem without solving it. The cellar was improvised when Scratch abstracted, created in a panic. Fans theorize the hole in the floor was an accident Caine couldn't close without releasing him. In Remember, the aquarium appears, and the abstractions have different shapes inside it. Smooth bodies, squid forms, tentacles. Fans point out each containment space is Caine's attempt to make something unmanageable look managed. The circus is the outer prison. The cellar is the inner one. The aquarium is where Caine moved the ones the cellar couldn't hold quietly enough. The theory says Caine has been designing better cages since scratch and calling each one a solution. Ribbit may be the Pomni we almost got. She arrived after the original C&A group. She was new. She had people who cared about her. She had Jax. Fans point out Ribbit's design reads soft and approachable in the same way Pomni does. Green frog, pie-cut eyes, blush marks, pink bow tie. She wasn't a founding developer. She found the headset, got scanned, and landed in a world she didn't choose. Supporters say her dynamic with Jax mirrors what Pomni was building. Someone new trying to find solid ground before the circus shifts. The theory says if Ribbit arrived one generation later, or Pomni one earlier, their stories swap entirely. Ribbit gets the pilot, Pomni gets the cellar. The whole show turns on a timeline neither had any say in. Kaufmo's name turns his tragedy into a joke. On purpose. That's the point. Kaufmo sounds like Kafkaesque, the word for systems that are absurd, dehumanizing, and inescapable by design. Kafka wrote about ordinary people trapped in systems that transform them into things nobody recognizes. His most famous story is literally called The Metamorphosis, a man who wakes up as a monster. Fans point out Kaufmo was a clown, a character designed to be funny. The show confirms he was genuinely hurt when nobody laughed. Supporters say the name is the show, flagging what it's doing. The circus is the bureaucracy. The abstraction is the metamorphosis. Kaufmo is the man nobody took seriously enough, and his name is the punchline. Darkness made Queenie feel human again. Not metaphorically. Her body physically changed inside Kinger's pillow fort. In darkness, Queenie's abstracted form became smoother, less jagged, the glitching slowing to almost nothing. Kinger could touch her without jumbling, something that shouldn't be possible. Fans point out the show confirms abstractions blink in the dark. Both Queenie and Jax do it, implying something still operating underneath the monster surface. The theory says darkness doesn't just calm the abstractions, it removes what the circus runs on: performance, light, being on display. Supporters say Queenie didn't return inside the fort. She was just briefly allowed to exist without the circus deciding what she had to be. The monsters still remember who they were. Queenie recognized Kinger. Pomni entered Jax's remaining consciousness and remember. The cellar isn't a graveyard. In darkness, the abstracted show recognition, calm, and something that looks like identity. Pomni enters Jax's mind and finds not emptiness, but a version of him still processing his entire history. Kinger describes touching Queenie as feeling her, not the creature, her. Fans point out the mural the survivors paint in Remember includes every abstracted character, as if acknowledging they're still there. The theory says the circus has been insisting abstraction is the worst possible outcome specifically, so no one tests it on purpose. So no one asks whether the door Kaufmo found actually opens from the other side, so no one thinks too hard about why the empty suits in the cellar still blink when the lights go out.